learn. Now, the name of this Parsha, Balak. That sounds somewhat eerily familiar or similar to my name, so that's purely a coincidence. They did not name the Parsha after me. Balak was a bum. I'm a better guy than Balak was. Now, Balak, so the Torah begins on page 857. Balak ben Zippor saw all that Israel had, all that the Jewish people had done to the Amori. And Moab became very frightened of the Jewish people because they were very numerous. And Moab was disgusted in the face of the children of Israel. Moab said to the elders of Midian, now the congregation will lick up the entire surroundings. Who's that congregation? Israel. And as an ox licks up the greenery of the field, we don't stand a chance. Balak, son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time. So now, the number of questions here include Moab, who Moab is, for a starter. Moab is a nation that came out of Lot. Everyone knows the story that Lot was with his uncle Avram and chose to live in a wicked city of Sodom. And there he reached his dreams of fame and fortune, of his own personal vanity, and became the president of Moab. And on the day that he became president, and he said, oh, you? יש משהו מה לעשות פה. סדרות. כמה שמנים? כל זה כסף. So Moab, right, was the king. Moab was a nation that was born. Lot had to run away from Sodom because Hashem was destroying Sodom. Sodom was so evil that it deserved to be destroyed. Why wasn't its leader destroyed also? Why wasn't Lot destroyed? Lot was as bad as the rest of them. I mean, he really wasn't as bad as the rest of them, that's how we say. But it's an interesting thing to note that the general consensus of Moab was a city that was dedicated to hating guests and hating hospitality, and they did not want. It was a crime against the city rules and ordinance if you invited any guests to the house. So Balak becomes president on the day that Hashem sends two angels to destroy the city of Sodom. He sent two angels because no angel could do two tasks. An angel could only do one task. So one task was to save Lot, the other task was to destroy Sodom. So the question is, why was Lot saved? For Balak he was saved. Why was Lot saved from the destruction of Sodom?
His uncle.
What?
Was it his uncle?
His uncle Avram. His uncle Avram prayed for him. Which gives you an interesting insight. Even if, let's say, you have a relative or a friend who's pretty wicked and pretty wrong in his life, and even if you can't communicate with him, still pray for him. Maybe sooner or later he'll get his act together. Maybe he'll start acting properly. So Avram prays for Lot, and Hashem says, okay, I'll save Lot. Lot has 4 daughters. He goes to 2 daughters that are married, and he says, let's get out of here. And Hashem's going to destroy the city, and they laugh at him. Why do they laugh at him? Well, because he's old. Because he's maybe senile.
Doesn't the Torah say that they thought
he was joking? And can we infer that he was maybe somebody who frequently joked, and so they thought it was just another joke?
So why tell us that? Why is that important for us to know?
Well, it says that...
I mean, there are a lot of important lessons to learn. I need to know who's a comedian, who's not a comedian.
Well, he's urging them to leave, and they reject it.
Okay, so why is that significant for me to know?
Because folly can undermine your credibility.
I think it's deeper than that.
Okay.
You accept my return? It's not that he was a man of folly or comedy. He was a man that was so preoccupied with his personal fame and fortune to abandon the opportunity to grow and bask in the tent of Avram that he never bothered to give his children any proper education.
Yeah.
They never heard of God. God's going to bring a fire of destruction on the city. Who ever heard of God? Never heard of him. Who was he? That's the weirdest thing I have. I mean, imagine the Mefarshim say that he found his 2 daughters in the casinos of Las Vegas. You know what they said when they came in and said he said that God's going to bring a fire on his dome. They said, deal another hand. Let's play. Let's call up the old age home and send. He has dementia. And we have to send him away. Of course, so that they laughed at him. But this is the conclusion of a life that's filled with vanity. A man who lives for himself, for his fame, for his fortune, for his selfishness, his own children will laugh at him. Do you understand? We live in a society today where children do not respect parents. We live in a society where children think of their parents as foolish, old-fashioned, silly, and whatever, and possibly also a little bit of dementia. And if the parents don't teach their children from the earliest on, at early age, about the values of the Torah and Hashem, they will never learn it from them ever. And they will it'll toss them back in the face. Parents cry, why don't you listen to me? Why? Now you're telling me about Hashem. I'm 25 years old. Now you're telling me. So of course, that's the tragedy. But the tragedy gets worse. Would have been better off dead. The tragedy gets worse because Lot goes out of town like he's told to do with his wife and his 2 daughters that are unmarried. And they're told not to look back. Why are they told not to look back? Why can't they look back and see the burning inferno and the destruction? Because you see, they themselves really should be there too. You look back and see others harmed while you got away. Undeserved. You didn't deserve to get away. So therefore, they certainly should not look back. But Lot's wife, watch out for women's curiosity. She looked back. And she became a pillar of salt. And if you visit Stone these days in Israel, there's loads of pillars of salt there. One of them is her. Because I know I can identify her, but one of them is her. And the truth is that she looked back because why?
Her daughters were still in Sodom.
Well, that's part of it, I guess.
She longed for. She missed her stuff.
She missed her stuff.
I think she looked back hoping to see that her daughters had escaped.
All right, you're looking, but then if that's the case, why would God punish her? Well, you're saying nice about her.
Well, I'm saying that there are natural consequences.
Okay, good. But the reality, she was told not to do it, and she violated.
Yes, absolutely.
So therefore, why is she punished? Because she had more interest in her possessions and her wealth than she did in her daughters. Anyway, she's dead, and the daughters of Lot feel what? Who cares? She's dead. Oh, I hate to sound so insensitive and so cruel. But I don't care about Lot's wife. I really don't. Anyway, I really don't. So now comes that Lot's daughters have this mistaken notion that they are the only people left on the earth. So therefore, they want to do a great mitzvah. What's the great mitzvah? The Pru they want to bring children back to the world. So they have this repugnant thing they have to do, which really is terrible and disgusting, but they have no choice. They have to sleep with their father. But how are they going to get him to do it? So they get him drunk. Now a man, when he's drunk, can do anything. And he may not even know what he's doing. And that's what it seems to be the story between the two daughters and the two children that they became pregnant. And then, of course, Lot probably looked around and said, how'd you get pregnant? Now, how'd you do that? You did it by yourself? I mean, it's hard to imagine the whole scenario, but really what's interesting is that you have to realize that as heroic an act as it was, it also comes through the media of something that's disgusting, which simply means that they didn't merit to get it done properly because they were stupid. And there's a crime called thou shalt not be stupid. You shall use your head. So, in any event, then they have, and the first oldest daughter has a baby, and she calls the baby Moab. And that really is stupid.
Yes, from my father.
I mean, come on, you got to tell it to the world. Everyone has to know. Poor guy's got to go around all his life with the name Moab. Poor fellow. Anyway, at the end of the day, Moab is a big nation now, and it meets the Klal Yisrael as they're charging out of Mitzrayim, and Moab is afraid of Israel. Moab should have embraced Israel. Moab should have given them food and water and passage, and they didn't because they lacked appreciation. They didn't appreciate what Avram did for them. If it wasn't for Avram's prayer for Lot, Moab wouldn't be here. How many people can stand up and say, if it wasn't for you, if someone had helped you, I wouldn't be here? I met a young fellow tonight that was at a banquet, where a young fellow who became a rabbi of a shul. He used to be a student here many years back. See, he greeted me, he said to me, Rabbi Block, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be a rabbi today. Wow, what a nice thing to say. I'm sure that much more than I contributed, but the beauty is that he appreciated it. That's a beautiful thing, to appreciate. How many people appreciate their parents? How many people appreciate the fact that whether his mother is this or her father is that? In the end of the day, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. That's what you have to think of. So, in any event, Lot and Moab particularly lacks the appreciation. The Gemara, the Torah will teach later on in the end of the book of Deuteronomy, Dvorim, the Torah will teach that Moab may never convert and join the Jewish people. Except for the women. And the reason is because the women don't have the obligation to go out and greet the people. The men do. And the women did their rightful role as waiting to receive the people. And the men would go out and greet them, and the men did not. The men instead wanted to wage war, which we're going to see in a minute. And as a result of that, it's the men that are punished, and they may never join the Jewish people. Why? They may never join Jewish people because the Jewish people are, in their very fundamental level, are appreciative people. We appreciate. Yaakov Avinu married two wives. Rachel he loved, Leah he learned to love. Leah was the first to have a child, and she had Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and then she had a fourth child named Yehuda. And she was overcome with joy, and she said, thank you, Hashem, Yehuda, Toda. Thank you for this beautiful baby. Why did she say that? Because she realized, in her spirit of prophecy, Leah was a great woman, that Yaakov, her husband, would have 12 children. And of the 12 children he has 4 wives. So she assumed each wife would have 3 children. All of a sudden she gets her 4th, much more than she deserves. What does that teach you? It teaches you whenever you feel you don't deserve, you are grateful to Hashem. Thank you. And that's the story of the Jewish people. Yehuda, we're Yehudim, we're Jews from Judah. We are people of gratitude. So therefore, grateful people cannot embrace non-grateful people. They can't join us. Okay, so that's Moab. Well, let's take a look at Moab again. Moab is very frightened of the people. Now, why are you frightened? That's what you got to do is go out there and greet him with water and bread and let him give him passage and everything's cool. What are you frightened of? The Jews aren't going to beat you up, but they're frightened. Why are they frightened? Because they imagine the fright. You create your own paranoia. You create your own fear. Oh, watch out for those Jews. Watch out for those Israelis. They're scary. Right? Nobody wants peace more than Israel. But you create within yourself your own imagination of fear. These are people that are eating up the surroundings. Like the ox licks up the greenery of the field. We're in trouble. So in order to solve the problem, what does Moab do in order to do a military strategy to help their cause? What? Well, but you're jumping ahead. Right in here, he did something before that. Right here, he did something before that. And the curse, of course, to seek out a curse is really to seek out a situation that you're using supernatural means, so to speak, to win. But here's a average normative military strategy. Form an alliance. Go to who? Go to Midian. Problem is that Medrash learns that Moab and Midian were enemies. They hated each other. They hated each other. But there's one thing that'll bring people together in mutual friendship. The hatred of the Jews. In 1967, Egypt and Syria were at war. But when it came time to Egypt to start a war with the Israelis, they formed the UAR, the United Arab Republic, with Syria. And Arabs who hate each other, every country fights each other, nobody's in peace with each other, find themselves at peace with their hatred, common hatred for Israel. It's an amazing lesson about not only the nature of people, but the nature of anti-Semitism. People never really do understand what anti-Semitism or hatred for Jews is all about. What is hatred for Jews all about? What it really is, you see, is no different than Paro. Paro has this large number of people here. He feels they're afraid of him. He's afraid they're going to jump on him, take away his country. They makes him into slaves. That's an imagination. Here's the same thing over here. He's imagining it. It's a paranoia. But it's based upon a very illogical hatred. And the hatred, you see, is a hatred that really emanates. Huh? Right, emanates from Esau. And what is the hatred? The hatred is a sense of Hashem being a part of the Jewish people.
Yes.
These people are God's people.
Exactly.
The hatred is the hatred of God. That's the hatred. Yeah.
Rabbi, doesn't it go all the way back to...
Yeah,
sorry.
right. Ladies first.
It's also a very profound reason why we're hated by the world. It said when after the second Holy Temple was destroyed, we had to go to the exile in the Aswan.
Right.
We went with, I don't know if it was a curse, but the words essentially that we shall be prosecuted by the nations.
Right.
Right.
That's correct. But also the sense of the Jews being separate will be ultimately mentioned here in this parsha by Bilam, who's another player into the. We'll have to find out who Bilam is. Who's Balak anyway?
The prophet of the nations.
He's the king of he's the king of he's the king of Moab. Is that right? Balak's king of Moab. But it says over here, Balak, son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time.
Because he was crowned at that time.
Right. Why is that important for me to know?
Because it means he was afraid.
What?
He was afraid. when you say...
So why would he be crowned king if he was afraid?
Because they didn't mention Balak the king. They said Balak ben Zippor because he was afraid, first of all.
Right. But the question
He
is,
wasn't from the kingdom.
And
yeah, but he wasn't one of the kingdom. That's correct. He really.
because Sichon died.
What? Right.
Sichon died.
Right. So in other words, basically, he is not really ra'ui lemlucha. He's not really worthy of kingship. He has no previous background, no experience. Trump came into the presidency, he had no experience. He never was he never held a public office ever, right?
No.
And the opportunity presented itself. What's the opportunity? The opportunity is that there really is no one standing up. I mean, how did Trump get in?
Money.
Yeah, okay, money did it, but basically, there was no opposition. I mean, there was no opposition. There was just no opposition to him. But Balak, see, you got to create what is called a chaotic situation. I'm teaching you fast. You can call me back in a half hour. No, in an hour. That tells you how long you guys are here for. Oh no. Not an hour, so less than an hour. Anyway, so Balak becomes the king unworthy because he consolidates the enemies. In other words, if you've got an ability to get the people and consolidate the people to a certain level of where they won't fight amongst each other, somehow or another you can manage to slip in. Well, the reality is that Trump hasn't yet managed to get everybody happy here in America. We're still fighting each other, conservatives and liberals. But he did slip in because of the internal fightings here in the United States. What's interesting is that Balak then appeals to the people by saying, "You hate the Jews. You hate the Jews. You're Moab. You're Midian. I'm neither. But guess what? I'll consolidate the two of you. We'll work together, and we will knock off the Jews." So it's a good sales pitch, and it's a good election campaign slogan, and that's how Balak gets in to be a king. What's this important for me to know? What moral lesson do I learn out of the fact that Balak was not worthy to be a king, and he slipped in because he maneuvered politically to get waging forces together? What's that important for me to know? What's important for me to know is that Balak is an opportunist. He is not a statesman. He's not a true person who really wants to be a leader, so to speak. He's looking for opportunity. No different than Lot did way back when, right? So he comes from Moab, Moab comes from Lot. Lot wants what? Lot wants opportunity. Lot wants fame and fortune. Lot wants to become great and well received. I mean, it's all vanity. It's all selfishness. And this Balak is the same kind of guy. But those kind of guys, let me tell you a little bit about the secret of these guys. These selfish, vanity-driven, and self-interested people who really aren't leaders, these are people that get scared easy. They scare easy. And he's scared. Why is he scared of the Jews? Because the Jews represent morality. The Jews represent decency. He's anything but. So now, Yimach Shemai V'Zichroi, Hitler wants to have his political ambitions in Europe and Germany. How does he get in? He gets in because there's chaos in Germany, and people are crazy, and people are starving, and there's depression, and this and there's that, and they're all hurting from World War I, and he's building up German pride, and it's all because of our problems, are all because of the Jews. And he slips, and his hatred becomes worse and worse, and he's a frightened fellow. Why does he attack that guy too? Why does he attack Russia? Why does he attack Russia for? The stupidest maneuver in military history. The man has all of Europe conquered all of Europe, including France and everything else. That's all he needs to do, and he's bombing Britain. He's going to get Britain pretty soon. I Imagine a whole European continent. You think of it, all those different European countries, right? Imagine one big European country called Germany. And besides, he signed a mutual non-aggression pact with Russia in 1939. We won't hurt each other. Why did he do that for? Because this way he keeps Russia neutralized and he can go on with his ambitions of Europe. So why do you attack him for? Idiot. Russia undid the German war machine even more than the Allies did, because they couldn't get far. They couldn't move. And that's all. They kept on fighting, and they couldn't go any further. Russia was this big giant. So even without the best of soldiers. So therefore, as a result, there's no question that it was a stupid move. Why did he do it? Because he's afraid. He's afraid. He looks over his shoulders every day. You know what dictators do? They look over their shoulders every day. Who's coming after me? Who's going to assassinate me? Who's going to get me? Right? And then,
Yeah, under
Who?
where he was the North Korea.
Oh, right.
He also, did you see that? He also surrounded himself when he was leading Trump.
Right. People are, people have no, they're all, it's all selfishness. It's all greed. It's all about me. And so, Balak becomes the king. He makes an alliance. We're going to get those Jews. Because that's the way we'll all be happy, and I will reap the riches. And that's what happened in Europe. So he sent messengers to Bilam in verse 5. Now here steps in Bilam. Who's Bilam?
Bilam is
A real low life character. I mean, someone who's really... In fact, one of the ways of defining Bilam is, you take the words Bil-am, below-am. What's the matter below-am? He has no nation. He has no loyalties. He has no patriotism. He has no belief in anything. He only believes in Bilam. Bilam, what's good for me? Soldier of fortune. What can I do to better me? So Bilam, you understand, is known to have done what? Is known to have become a prophet. So the Gemara says that Hashem was worried that the Jewish people, that the goyim of the world would be angry at him and would say, you favor the Jewish people. You gave them a prophet, you didn't give us one. You gave them Moshe Rabbeinu, and you didn't give us. Interesting. So he says, okay, I'll give you a prophet, I'll give you Bilam. We want to say that Bilam is equal to Moshe Rabbeinu. This low-life bum is, in fact, equal to Moshe Rabbeinu. How's that possible? So understand, what's possible here is to be able to rise above what you can do and actually achieve the impossible and achieve beyond your potential. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu did. And that's what Bilam did. Bilam is now known, world famous as the top, we got a, what do you call it there, a concert. So, that's all right, don't worry. So what do we got here? We got this sense of people, the well-known, world-famous person who's in control. He can control and connect with the spirits. Spirits. Now, of course, I'm sure you've driven down Hollywood Boulevard or Highland or Sunset somewhere in your life, and you've seen, come in to see me. I'm a psychic. I can tell you your future, and all these other crackpots. And the truth is, most of them are. And of course, you're a big dummy if you spend $2 then. You end up spending $25, like an idiot. But the truth is that there is such a power. There is such a power in the world. You can connect with the spirits. Because Hashem gave the spirits power. Hashem is the one and only. He runs the world. He created the world, sustains the world, singular, Hashem Echad. But He authorizes certain powers in the world. And some of those powers he authorizes can become negative. They can be used for negative. There are people that have, let's say, kochot haguf, and they can use it for positive things, for negative things. People have kochot hanefesh, positive, negative. Point is that whatever you have, whatever talents you have, be they physical, financial, materialistic, spiritual, you can all use them for good, you can all use them for bad. It's really up to the person's personal choice. And that's really what life is all about. Life is all about bechira, making the right choices.
And Moshe had also potential for great negativity, which he didn't use.
That's correct. Absolutely. And what story are you referring to?
Well, there's a story about that he had this craving for women. That's not
Moshe Rabbeinu?
Well,
No.
she never did.
The story that you should be referring to is the story when they put him in a room with the gold and with the coal.
The what? Yeah.
With the gold and the coal.
He burned his stuff, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he took the
That's the
gold.
first story.
Right. Now, in other words, Moshe Rabbeinu has this, is playing around with Paro's crown. So the Chartumim, the magicians say, watch out, this kid's going to take over your throne. He's a baby, he doesn't know what he's doing. Watch out. We'll give him a test, see how mature he is. If he's mature and he knows what he's doing, we'll kill him. And if not, we will attribute it to the fact that he's a baby. So they put Moshe in a room all alone with gold and with coal. Now you know that Moshe Rabbeinu is born a Jew, which means he's smart. So where does he go? He goes straight for the gold. Sometimes the Jew's smartness can do him in. So Hashem gave a malach, an angel, and pushed him to the coal, and that's how he became kvad peh. He became a stutterer. Now, it's interesting. They say that in the current light, they say that there was parents had a child who seemed to like being religious, but at the same time, he seemed to like the good life too, and they didn't know what to do with this kid. He was a little wacky. So they took the child and they put him in a room. And they put their whiskey, they put chumash, and they put $100. And they wanted to see and they gave this kid a test, see what he's going to go for. So they came into the room after it was over, and they took all three. Oy. What kind of kid is that going to be? Chumash, learning, schnapps, money. He'll be a Chabadnik. Nothing personal. Anyway, it's all right. I told the joke over to many Chabadniks. They love it. Anyway, that was a good one. Anyway, so the truth is that Moshe Rabbeinu did have a possible negative. But there's always that in everybody. There's always the possibility of negative versus positive. It's all about us. It's all about, who's totally positive? If he's totally positive, he's not alive. If he's totally negative, he's destructive. So either way, you don't win. You gotta have that choice, that balance, and you gotta make the right choice. That's what life is all about. Making right choices. Sometimes it's real easy. Keep Shabbos, don't keep Shabbos. Be moral, don't be moral. Keep kosher, don't keep kosher. The choices are easy. For some it's not. For some it's, I really want to keep kosher, but I can't. I have a craving. What's my craving? On La Brea, there's those hot dogs. What are they called? Those hot dogs I'm craving? Pigs. Pigs. I had a guy actually sat in my class and he told me he couldn't control himself from pigs. Could you believe that? I told the guy, stop driving down a stupid street. What's the matter with you? What's the matter? I understand. Bottom line is that you have easy choices. Then you have more complex choices. You have an aged parent that needs your time. You have children that need your time. How do you manage? How do you balance? You get more tougher challenges and more complex. And again, you got to learn. Sometimes that's how you ask shilas, to talk to a rav. You talk to a mentor, talk to a person who guides you to help you. And the choices, but it's all about choices. And we call that in Hebrew, bechira chovshi, free choice. And that's the gift God gave us. And for that, we're told, You get schar. You get rewarded for the right choice, and you get punished for the wrong choice. And even the punishment or the reward isn't even a reward or punishment, it's a consequence. It simply happened. You make the right choice, and things go well. I mean, you have a choice. Stick your finger in the fire or don't. You stick your finger in the fire and it gets burnt. What do you think? It's a punishment? It's not a punishment, it's a consequence. Of course it's going to happen. So once we understand that, we understand here that Bilam had to make choices too. And the choices were to his own corrupt self, to self-serve. So Bilam is this man without a nation, man without allegiance, man without appreciation, man without loyalty. He's a man for himself. So he can, however, and he's mastered the art of blessing and curse. Just like a man can master a physical art and use it for good or bad, a man can master a spiritual art and use it for physical or bad, for bad or good. And you can master the spiritual arts of meeting and feeling, working with spirits, with angels, and in fact can connect to the extent where you can impose a blessing on a person or a curse on a person, and they're stuck with it. It works. Now, however, obviously Hashem has ultimate power, and ultimately he can reduce and often eliminate the power of he who brings destruction on others. So when Hitler rose to power, he not only went after the Jews, as you know, but went after the entire European continent and made an alliance with Italy. Italy would do it for the Southern European, and with Japan and Asia and all this other stuff. The point was world domination. Ultimately, he'd take over Japan and Italy too. I mean, that was his own personal plan. But the point is that he made these negative choices, but it affected so many people. Because the answer, Hashem's got to step in and stop him. And that's what happened. Thank God. Who knows what could have happened? Now, Bilam is still under the control of Hashem. But Bilam, for all of his negativity and evil and anxiousness to destroy for his own personal gain, knows that at the end of the day, God makes the decision. And that he's not stupid, he's smart. Which simply means is that he does have great insight. And he's brilliant. And he's comparable to Moshe Rabbeinu. To understand it better is to understand that when we talk about Bilam, when eventually at the end of the parsha we'll see what Bilam starts his performance, okay? At the performance, Bilam is going to begin his curses, and as Balak will hire him to do, and Bilam will speak to God. And in speaking to God, you'll take a look at page 864, 865. Number 4, God happened unto Bilam. If you look at the Hebrew, Vayikar Elokim el Bilam. What is the word Vayikar? What's the shorish of the word Vayikar? What's the shorish of the Vayikar? Huh? 864, 865, Parachav Gimel, chapter 23, verse 4. God happened upon Bilam. It says Vayikar Elokim el Bilam. What is Vayikar? The shorish of the word Vayikar. Say? No, that's yakak. That's deer. No. Yeah, that we know that. We know that. What? That's cold. That's part of it. You know what the shorish is? I'll tell you what the shorish is. Makore. Makore. What's going on? What's the latest? What's new? Everybody greets each other that way in Israel. Makore. If you go to Israel, you don't know what makore is, forget it. Go home. What does it mean, kore? It means happen. Right? It's a kore. Some people say it, in fact, famim kore. It happens. But a happening is a happenstance that is not prepared. So what does it mean to happen? So what? A chance. Exactly. What's that mean? That means like this. If I want to meet you, I call you up like a mensch, like a person on a telephone, and I say, I'd like to meet with you. Can you please meet me at such and such a time and such a place? And we got an appointment. But, and then we'll get down to the business of what we want to talk about. But other people, I really want to talk to you. But I just don't bother to give you a call or give you a heads up because I'm too busy, you're not that important, I'm preoccupied. And I run into you and I say, hey, I want to tell you something. And that really is not right. It really is disrespectful if you think about it. The only way you can really work yourself out of it is to say, hi, it was nice meeting you. Can we get together on something? Can I give you a call? That's a little more respectful. When you call up a person, you go right into what you want to say and you say hello. Everybody says hello. So you gotta start somewhere. You gotta have a little respect. And everybody says, of course, the old-fashioned, how are you? Ma shlomcha. And nobody means it. But it's the way, it's courtesy, you know. You want to know how I am? You want to know all my chores? You want to know all my troubles? You want to hear the next 15 minutes of all my problems? No, I didn't really mean that. I'm not really into that, you know. But the truth is, there is a certain level of respect in the way you do have to take care of the niceties, the politeness, and then get into the conversation, whatever it may be. When Hashem speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu, he takes this word Vayikar, take a look at it, on Pasuk Dalet. It's the third, sixth line in the Hebrew, and he adds an aleph to it. What does it become if you add an aleph? Vayikra. What's Vayikra? To call it. Hi. If you call somebody, that's respectful. But if you happen upon somebody, that's disrespectful. So you understand the difference. We have many times this where Hashem calls to Moshe Rabbeinu. Vayikra el Moshe. Now, Frank, they have a whole book called Vayikra. God calls to Moshe. That won't happen with Bilam. God will not give Bilam any courtesy, any respect, whereas he gives whole lots to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu has earned God's respect, and because God knows who Moshe Rabbeinu is, and his loyalty and his greatness and so forth. Bilam, his own personal selfishness, he gets nothing from Hashem. He gets Vayikar. I happen to be here because I need to be here to control you. So, and again, it's also part of the word kar, which is cold and impersonal. And it also comes from another word of keri, which is a lotion of tuma, of impurity. Moshe Rabbeinu gets the Vayikra. It's the full, respectful treatment. Now, let's turn to the beginning of Vayikra. And let's see how God treats Moshe Rabbeinu. Sefer Vayikra, Leviticus, page 544, the first Parsha Vayikra. And what does it say? And what does it say in Hebrew? Vayikra el Moshe. And it does it beautifully too. Watch. Vayikra el Moshe. He calls to Moshe. Vayidaber Hashem. And then he starts to talk. First you call out, you say hello, how are you, whatever the preambles are, and then you go Vayikra. And then Vayidaber, and then you talk. Would you kindly spell the word Vayikra? Abigail. Okay. Oh, tell me about that aleph. It's small. That's all. Now, whenever you see that, what is it telling you? It's telling you that when it's written in the Torah, it'll be written with the small aleph. So frankly, here we've got a problem here with the small aleph, because if you take the aleph away, you get back to the evil of Bilam. And if you put the aleph in, then you got Moshe Rabbeinu. And here's this compromise where you got an aleph, but it's small. Very good. Absolutely. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted it small because he wanted to be humble. But actually, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even want it to be small. He said, listen, the truth is, when it comes to Vayikra, the book of Kohanim, I'm not a Kohen. My brother is. I don't really belong here. If you're talking to me, I'm really like a happening. I'm a Vayikra in this case. So Hashem said, you're right, except if I see Vayikra, then it's going to sound just like Bilam. I don't want that. I can't do that to you. So therefore, the compromise between Hashem and Moshe was the small aleph. He had his humbleness. Hashem said, well, it can't be completely humble, so I got the small olive. The point is that this shows you that there is this comparability between Bilam and Moshe. There is a certain level of equality. And when the nations of the world complained to God, give us a prophet, and like you gave the Jews Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, so what does God say? Okay, I'll give you Bilam. And Bilam is a hot guy. He can do it. He's got some real heavy powers. And so, it is true that it's from an impure source, which obviously means, once again, Hashem can control it, right? But Hashem allows a person a leash, like a dog, He allows the dog just so far to go, a leash. And then He unleashes you, and you will go as far as you can. If it's good, that's swell. Hashem's proud of you, loves you. If it's not, it's negative. But the negativity does what? It doesn't only affect you, it affects others as well. And then Hashem lashes you or leashes you back inside and says, I got to keep control of this. It's getting out of control. 1945, the world was out of control. Out of control. And so, now we come back to our parsha, back in page 858, and we say over here that Balak, in his fear of losing his newfound fame and glory, sends messages to Bilam, I need to help you. I don't want to do this normally. I don't want to go to battle with Israel. I don't want to go army to army, confrontation to confrontation, because I know I'm going to lose. Because the Jews have something special with them. They have Hashem. The Jews can't lose. And therefore, I don't want to battle these Jews on even terms. On even terms, I lose. I mean, if you imagine, let's say, Israel's fighting all its wars against a vastly superior enemy, right? There are 7 million Jews and 150 million Arabs. And back in 1967, there was 3 million Jews in Israel and 100 million Arabs, and we still won. And the playing field wasn't even. Can you imagine the playing field was even? Imagine if the playing field was even. We'd kill them. As it is, we devastated them. So Bilam does not want to confront the Jews on an even plane. He needs a little extra help. Something that will knock out God's love for the Jews. He needs Bilam to find a way to do it. And Bilam is evil enough to do it, to cause devastation, destruction, harm, hurt, and so forth. So the Torah says that Balak sends messengers to Bilam, and verse 6, please come and curse these people, it's too powerful for me. Perhaps I will strike it and drive it away from the land. For I know, look at the end of this paragraph. For I know, look at it, that whomever you bless is blessed, and whomever you curse is cursed. The Hebrew. Asher tevarech bevorach, asher ta'or you are. You can do it. You got that power. And it's true, he does. So, if I was careful, I would certainly not put myself in a vulnerable position and allow myself to be, heaven forbid, cross paths with Bilam, especially at a time when maybe I'm weak in my own religiosity. Maybe I'm not so religious in the last couple of weeks. Maybe I need chizuk. Maybe I'm weak in my commitments. Everybody has his strong moments, his weak moments. You don't want to pass by Bilam in a weak moment. That's what you don't want to do, because he's got power over you. He can do something. Now, of course, if you are strong, then he can't. And we're going to see that in a minute. Take a look. So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian went with charms in their hands. They came to Bilam and they told him the words of Balak. He said, spend the night here and I'll give you responses. Hashem will speak to me. Look at the bottom of the page. And what is he saying? What's he saying? Yeah, what's Bilam saying? What's Bilam saying to the Sarai Moab and the Sarai Bala and Sarai Midian? So he acknowledges what? That God's in control. Right. Now, being that smart, to acknowledge God's in control, makes him more dangerous. He's more dangerous now. Because what he knows is that Hashem will allow a curse if the Jewish people are vulnerable. I mean, we suffered the loss of a temple, a first, a second, the Beit HaMikdash twice. Why? Because we were filled with Averah, filled with sin. We did wrong things. We did terrible things. We harmed the unfortunate. We acted inappropriately. We hated each other. We had bad midot to one another. Sinat chinam, whatever it is. The point is that if we're strong within ourselves, nothing can harm us. Not even below. But if we become weak, and we're not as careful with the mitzvot as we need to be, in can walk all sorts of curses. Chas v'shalom, a person has not been really on his game, is what we say in America, on your religious game, so to speak. We're not really keeping the mitzvot properly. You could be vulnerable to some curse or lack of blessing, and things could start getting messed up in your life. And where's it all coming from? There's this power of negativity and harm in the world. Bilam plunges into it. Bilam plugs into it. You see? And therefore, he can harm you. Generally, without Bilam, you can be harmed if you're not careful in living the right life and harming others. You can harm yourself. And so he says, let me speak to God. Because he's figuring, I'll speak to God. And me and God, we're pretty good together now. We're pretty connected. And I'll speak to him and I'll see when it's a good time, when the Jews are not on their game. Okay, so they stay overnight. And God comes to Bilam, next page, 859. God says to Bilam, who are these guys? Who are them guys? And Bilam says, oh, they came from Balak. Those people are coming out of Egypt. Do I know about the people coming out of Egypt? God's saying, okay, I only took them out of Egypt, Anyway, he says, he wants me to curse them. He wants to make war with them. 12, God says to Bilam, you can't go. You can't curse them because they're blessed. They've already been blessed. So they have a shield protecting them. They can't be harmed.
I mean, you see him from the last episode, you see the same thing.
Where?
The one there. And he said,
Ki baruch hu, no?
yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Lo told them ki baruch hu. They're blessed already. They got a bracha on them.
Yeah.
You can't undo the bracha.
Right, so it shows you can actually only curse. That's the only thing you can do. You can't bless, like actually.
Well, he could. He never wanted to, because he was always interested in harming rather than helping. So unless you present him with a whole gang of money, he wasn't really going to give you for money. I mean, everybody's got a price. I mean, yeah, what?
Does the Hebrew say you shall not curse or you cannot?
You can't.
Okay. So it's a fault of the English translation.
Right.
Because it makes it sound like you could, but you shouldn't.
Well, actually, it does to some extent imply that you shall not, like it says. That's true. But in reality, what the implication is, ki baruch hu, if they're blessed, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Okay, so they go home. In the morning, Bilam, verse 13, says, okay, go home. I can't, Hashem doesn't let me go. So the officers came back, and they told him 14, that why are you following me? And Bilam said, Bilam won't come. So Balak sent more officers, higher ranking. He sent the vice president. Someone really important, And they came to Bilam and said, hey, come on, don't stop. Don't be afraid from going to me. For I shall honor you greatly. And everything you say to me I shall do. So go now and curse these people. Verse 18, Bilam answers and says, if Balak will give me a house full of silver and gold, I can't transgress the word of Hashem. Tell me the difference between what Balak said to Bilam and what Bilam answered back.
Well, the difference between what?
Balak's servants tell Bilam, come on, I'll give you great honor. Bilam responds and says,
Yeah, he didn't want the honor, he wanted money.
oh,
Yeah.
right. He doesn't answer the way, you know. I offer you, I'm offering you a brand new Audi, right? And that's what I'm offering you. Even if you gave me a Rolls Royce, it wouldn't work. All right? So basically the point is that he's answering him not on the offer, because he's not interested in honor. Now you get down to the real nitty-gritty of selfish people. Honor, in a way, for as vain as it sounds, is a little more sophisticated than money. Money is really low. I mean, you really, it's like stuff in your pocket, stuff in your face, and stuff, and having a pint of Jack Daniels to wash it down. That's what money is. Even a person who's vain, like the President of the United States, maybe have vanity, or maybe the politicians have vanity. Sure, they like to stand up in front of people. And my people give me honor, and give me accolades. It's a little more sophisticated, but it's still a Yetzer Hara. It's still an evil inclination, but it's a little more sophisticated than a guy says, "No, give me the honor, give me the food, just give me the money. Forget all the honor, you know." I mean, even people, you know, they do business together, and they say, you know, there are certain, we're doing business together, certain niceties. We should have respect for one another. Let's share a drink together. Let's celebrate together. Don't bother me. I got no time. Give me the money. It's not very sophisticated. Anyway, point being is that Bilam displays he's a lowlife. I mean, he really would appreciate nothing more than to sit back with a bottle of Jack Daniels, big steak, and just fill himself up. That's all he cares about. It has no real sophistication at all. Anyway, so he says to him, I can't help you, because I said it's up to God. So look what Bilam says to him in verse 19. And now stay here the night, and I will know more what Hashem will speak. Does he assume that Hashem is going to change his mind? Does he assume that?
Yeah.
Obviously he assumes it, which is really dumb. Hashem doesn't change his mind.
Yeah.
Hashem doesn't have a mood swing. You understand? Hashem's Hashem. So the idea that he's saying to this thing, he figures maybe he'll get a situation where Hashem will be not that protective of the Jews, because maybe I'll find a way to show him where the Jews aren't acting so good, and this way I can get to him, and then Hashem will be release them and allow me to release them and allow me to curse them. And it's for anything and anybody. Of course, the Jews are the one he's after. So, in the end of the day, God comes to Bilam at the end of the pasuk and he says, "If these men came to summon you, arise and go with them." Hey, wait a second. In verse 20, God just changed his mind. Did you see that? He just changed his mind.
Which means Bilam was right when he said, let me see what God thinks this time.
Right. But take a look at the end of the pasuk. You can go with them, but the only thing that I shall speak to you, that shall you do. In other words, I am in control. And everybody knows that our blessings and curses come from the mouth. Right? You gotta speak it out. So that means that you can't say a word that I won't let you say. So you think Bilam's going to listen? No. So what's God saying? God is saying the following. Okay? You will try to say X, and you know what's going to come out? Y. You're going to say the word curse, and you know what's going to come out? Bless. I'm in control. You still want to go? You still want to go? Well, let's see then. Let's see what's Bilam's response. The bottom of page 21, what's Bilam do? Rises in the morning, saddles his donkey. Now let's understand something. Bilam knows God, knows God's control, and still is ready to go. That means he figures he can get God change his mind. So in other words, if God changed his mind and said, I can go on the second time around, but only I can speak what he wants, maybe on the third time around when I finally get there, God will change his mind again, let me speak what I want. So he's playing his game. And he has now extended his point where he feels his power is greater. And he's become really corrupted by the power. You see? And he's not afraid, and he really has no fear of Hashem at all. But he saddles his donkey. And he gets up in the morning. Why is that? Why does it simply say he goes? Why do I need to say he gets up in the morning?
He's excited.
He's excited.
Like
In other words, he who rises early in the morning, it's because he can't wait to greet the day. Because he can't wait to do what he's got to do during the day. You see? A person gets up in the morning at 8:30 slothfully and makes his way to work, you know. Guy gets up at 6 in the morning, he's ready to daven, goes to the shul every morning in an Indian with talis and film, because he knows.
6 is noontime.
That's right. Or as the great cowboys would say, you're burning daylight. Get moving, get going, get flying, and feel the strength and the power of what you can accomplish in a given day if you get up early enough. So the idea, of course, is getting up early is the idea that Bilam does this with, as you said, with great excitement, with great enthusiasm. He can't wait to curse. We get up in the morning. Avram got up in the morning. He couldn't wait to pray. Avram got up in the morning. He couldn't wait to find guests, to bring in guests. And this guy gets up. That's right. To do Ratzon Hashem. But this guy, Bill. But understand something. It's really a comparative. It's really a comparative. Think about it. You got good people and you got bad people. Who's going to win? And the answer is the one who wants it most. If good people are less talented or less powerful, they'll win if they can match or exceed the drive of the evil. What's the famous quote? Tell me who quoted it. That evil will triumph when good men do nothing. Who said it? Churchill? Somebody great said it. Huh? Who said it? Evil will triumph when good men do nothing. Huh? Einstein. Okay, there you go. So the point is that you have to have that sense that being on the right side is not going to win unless you have as much drive as the other. The reason that Bilam's drive to get up in the morning didn't succeed for him is because Avram got up with equal power for the Jewish people. Now, we know what went on in World War II. The drive, the absolute fanatical interest in killing Jews. Where were the Jewish people? Fighting back. They weren't. Where's the rest of the world? Where's the civilized world? Where's the United States of America? Where are people that are helping out a downtrodden people that are being slaughtered? Evil triumphs because we, men of good conscience, did nothing. We didn't fight back. You gotta fight back.
Who's John Stuart Mill?
Oh, you looked up at Google? John who?
John Stuart Mill.
John Stuart
Mill.
M-I-L-L, for the record. Okay, we don't want to put out to the YouTube anything that's Google anything that's untrue. You have to have the fact that Bilam failed, despite his enthusiasm, and he can't wait to get up and so forth, is because of the fact that Avram got up and did the same thing with more power, with more zeal. So we have to realize that Goyim get up in the world to do what? Do all sorts of crazy things. The premier of Korea gets up in the morning, can't wait to how many people he can harm today, how many people he can destroy today. Yes, Arafat gets up in the morning and can't wait to see how many people I can kill today. The fact is that we have to get up with equal zeal how many people we can save today, how much good we can contribute to the world today. If we're not fighting with equal force. Finally, the Allies joined World War II in 1941, and thank God they beat the German onslaught. You know how powerful Germany was? Great Britain and France couldn't combine to beat them. Amongst all the other Eastern European countries. He must have conquered 8 countries. How does one nation conquer 8? Because they all lied down and fell asleep.
Like today.
Like today.
Yeah.
John Kennedy wrote a book, Why England Slept. England was sleeping. Didn't you know? Well, let's compromise. Let's give in. Let's give a little territory. Let's give a little more land to them, you know? Let's give a little more land to the Palestinians. Let's help them. Well, the Palestinians need more love. They need more understanding. They're not giving you any understanding. They're coming at you with full force. You come back with the same force. But they end up winning. You know why? Because we don't fight with force. We in the Knesset say, well, we have to be understanding the Arab situation. We have to be appreciative and understand that people do and this and that. They're your enemy. You fight. And you fight with the same energy and more energy. And you fight to destroy for as much as they want to until they wave a white flag. And they're ready to surrender, then we stop. My Rabbi Zvi Block used to say, what's the difference between revenge and retaliation? Revenge is sinful. Retaliation is a mitzvah. What's the difference? Someone comes and beats on you. And then he runs away. He no longer is a threat to you. You run after him to teach him a lesson. That's revenge. That's forbidden. But if he doesn't stop beating on you until you beat his brains in order to be able to stop him, that's retaliation. And that's a mitzvah. You have an Arab atrocity, an Arab terrorism, you'll level that whole city if you need to, until they learn the lesson. Avram gets up early in the morning, ready to do a fight for the good. And he's going to counteract and counterbalance Bilam's energy, and that's why Bilam will fail. Otherwise, Bilam will succeed. But Bilam has more energy. You know what energy he has? Look at the next words. What does he do next? He saddles a donkey. He saddles a donkey. Why is that important to know? Now, let me tell you. The President of the United States was just told that tomorrow they're having a big parade down in Washington, D.C. And he was told that there's a big motorcade, you know. And he's going to sit in the front car and wave to the crowd, you know. And then a lot of people, and a lot of cars coming down, you know. And there was a big parade. Yay, President, right? So you know what he does the night before this big parade? He goes down to the garage of the White House. And he starts looking at the car that's going to take him. And he starts making sure there's oil, making sure there's water, fluid in the batteries. And is there air in the tires? Got to make sure the car's good. Does this guy not have, does the President say, no, doesn't he have a mechanic? Is there an official White House mechanic that can do the job for him? Yeah. Why is he doing it himself? Because he wants to make sure he gets it done. He don't trust nobody. I want to do this. I want to curse him. I want to kill him. I want to destroy him. Oh, with such energy, with such power, with such enthusiasm. And so, of course, you know, he saddles his own donkey. And off he goes. And now off he goes, you understand? At age 61, God's angry because he was going. What's God thinking? Top age 61. Why is God angry for him going? Because Bilam should have understood. If God said no the first time, and the second time he says yes, but with a proviso, with a little condition, what does he really mean to say? He says you shouldn't go. But I'm allowing you to go because I'm giving you the choice. You want to do tshuva, repent, make a mention of yourself? Here's your choice. I'll let you go. Let's see if you choose the right thing on your own. I didn't let you go before. You know I don't want you to go. You know what God wants you to do. Your choice now. Go or not go. Your choice. Because I'm letting you go. So, of course, he makes the wrong choice and he goes, which God doesn't want him to do. So God obviously is angry, right? Read further. Here comes an angel of Hashem standing on the road to impede him. He's riding on his she-donkey. So, little X-rated Parsha story here. Make sure that it doesn't get to the children. This is the expression, the biblical expression of bestiality, in which he was not only riding on a she-donkey, he had relations with a she-donkey. Of course, it's the question, I mean, how perverted can you get? I mean, it's a perversion of all time, you know. Frankly, the truth of the matter is, the greatest of minds, and the greatest of people, and the greatest of thinkers can be overcome by temptations of the of the dirtiest order and not be able to control themselves. There's a guy that has relations with his donkey. And he rides on her, and that's what the Torah tells you, that she's a she-donkey. And he's got two men with him. And the donkey sees the angel of Hashem with a sword drawn. So the donkey turns away from the road, and Bilam hits the she-donkey, turn back on the road. What does that mean? That means that the angel saw the donkey saw the angel. Did Bilam see the angel? No, I don't understand something. The donkey is, after all said, on an animal with a limited intelligence. This is Bilam, the great, brilliant man, the great scholar, the great mind, the great man of great sciences and intelligence, and he's mastered the art of spirituality and the art of negativity and the art of cursing and blessing, and he doesn't see the angel. Persons with the greatest of brilliance will not see the truth when they don't want to. When they don't want to see the truth, they don't want to. And with all of his mind, with all of his genius, he just does not see the angel that is in the road that wants him to stop. The donkey does. So the donkey says, the donkey talks, whoa! And Bilam hits him, right? 24. The angel's still in the road, and there's a fence on the side, a fence on that side. The donkey sees the angel again, presses against the wall, presses against Bilam's leg against the wall, and he continues to strike it. Hey, why disobey me? You ever see people talk to their pets? Shh, quiet. Why do you make so much noise? Wow, 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 wow. Dog barks, right? Why do you make so much noise? As if the dog understands. You talk to the dog like you're a dog. You talk to the dog like you're a donkey yourself. And you're a great mind. And you're a man with a BA, an MA, a PhD, and a CCC, and an LLM. And every other level known to mankind in terms of what else is there? And a Phi Beta Kappa, whatever else he's got from the university, right? The University of Stupidity, the University of Temptation, the University of Frat Parties that fail all day in their courses but make sure they party all night. Okay, having a good time. Okay, anyway, so Bilam hits the donkey. And the donkey sees the angel, presses Bilam's leg against it. The angel goes further, stands in a narrow place. There's no room to turn. The donkey sees the angel, doesn't know what to do. And Bilam gets angry and hits the donkey again. 28. Says the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that when the Bilam's donkey opened his mouth and began to speak, this power was created at the time of creation. It was created at Friday towards evening, just before a candle lighting, just before Shabbat. On the end of the 6th day, just before Shabbat, God created 10 things. One was the rainbow, one was the man coming down, and things that would happen in the future in terms of great miracles. And this miracle was created at that time as well. Yeah.
Wasn't there
listed in the Mishnah.
Oh, there's 10.
The 10 that Hashem created himself, and that would occur years and centuries later. And he did that. On Friday, just before Shabbat, the last few minutes before sunset.
There was an argument about if he had Shabbat or not.
Right. Hashem, hurry up, Hashem. Candle lighting there, right?
But it's true, the Mishnah says.
The Mishnah says, right. Ben Hashmashot. Right.
Created the squeaky donkey.
Yeah. Okay. Then look it up. It's,
No, I mean,
this one time, this one thing. The thing we did last week, 2 weeks ago, the earthquake of Kodak that was also created on Friday evening. It's the 5th chapter. Look it up in Pirkei Avot. Okay. Anyway, so the donkey, Hashem opened the mouth of the donkey, and it says to Bilam, "What have I done to you that you hit me 3 times? I am evil." Bilam says to the donkey, that's the best part of all. The fact that the donkey spoke was a miracle. The fact that this idiot speaks back to the donkey. I mean, I tell you, people speak to the dogs all the time. Stop barking. Whatever. People talk to the dogs all the time. And then they give these dogs these dumb names, you know. You speak to the donkey. Hysterical. So the Bilam says to the donkey, "Because you mocked me, you're making fun of me. Not right for you to treat me this way. If there was a sword in my hand, I'd kill you." So this donkey responds to Bilam at the bottom of the page and says, "Am I not your donkey that you've ridden on me all your life?" Just now, right? I knew it. "Am I not your donkey?" Shut up. It's my donkey. Am I not your donkey that you've ridden on me all these days? Haven't I pleased you? No. Haven't I done well for you and you slept with me and this, that, and that? And he said, "No, you never was bad to me." And Hashem, all of a sudden in 863, opens Bilam's eyes and he sees the angel of Hashem standing on the road. Whoa. The donkey saw, I didn't see. He's smarter than me. Or she's smarter than me. Right? So the angel said to Hashem, look at this 32. This is really significant. What did he say in 32? "For what reason did you strike the donkey?" "I went to beat you. I'm on this road to oppose, and you're opposing me." The donkey turned away. He knew that he shouldn't go forward because the donkey knew that Hashem doesn't want. And you hit him 3 times. If he didn't turn away from me, and you would have walked right into me, I would have killed you. Look at verse 34. Bilam said to the angel, "I have sinned. I did not know that you are standing opposite me on the road. And now, if it is evil in your eyes, I shall return." And there again, Bilam blows it. Why? Because the angel says to Bilam, 35, "You can go. But remember, you can't say the words that I disallow, only the words that Hashem says." And what did Bilam do? He went. This was your last chance, pal. This is your last chance to repent. You came to me the first time, I said no. Came to me the second time, I said, "Yo, you can go, but I'm in control. You can't say the words you don't want to say." Then the third time, I put an angel there. The donkey sees it, you don't see it. And I'm telling you not to go. And you're asking me, is it okay or not okay? You know what I'm here for. I didn't come out here to play games. I'm an angel here to stop you from going. But if you want to go, it's your funeral. It's your funeral. It's your problem. And Bilam goes. Bilam is consumed with the fury and the anger and the absolute insane fanatic need to perform the curse. And he doesn't want the honor and he doesn't want the gold and silver anymore. That's not. So you see the deterioration of a human being. And then the reaction of a human being, of course, he will come up and God will put the words in his mouth. It was Vayiko we learned earlier. I'm going to stop here, but I just want to tell you one more thing. When he gets up there and he says the words that God says, you have to understand that the human being, for all of his, whatever we are, there's nothing more that tells us that we're alive more than the ability to communicate and to talk. If you can't talk, and this is the tragedy, tragically, of dementia. Older people losing their ability to think. And it's a very sad and tragic disease, as you well know. I don't gotta tell you. It's the saddest thing in the world to see a person saying things that don't make sense. The person's very intelligent. In his youth, he was vibrant, powerful, creative, intelligent. And now he says things don't make sense. And it's so sad. And of course, it's coupled with forgetfulness and loss of memory and lots of things like that. And it's a very scary thing because, whatever happens in your life, as you get to an older age, this thing goes wrong, that thing goes wrong, you're not so well, and then this and that, but the mind is the one thing you got, even if you're, God forbid, even immobile. Still, you got your mind. And your mind tells you what to say. And if you can't get it out, sometimes people are imprisoned with this disease that they can even visualize what they want to say, and they can't get it out. At that point, the person's dead. I mean, he's walking, he's living, he's breathing. It's a sadness, and oftentimes he wants to say something, maybe to people that he loves or whatever, and he can't. The person's dead. Bilam, at this point, will die. The moment Bilam opens his mouth and can't say what he wants to say, he's dead. Mm-hmm. He can breathe all he wants. He can eat all the steaks he wants, or whatever. He's dead. But it gets funnier. Even though it's sad from a truly perspective of good people, but it gets funny in Bilam's case because there's another fellow here named Balak who hires him to give the curse. And up steps Bilam, and he begins. He sticks his hands out. And what would happen if, let's say, you attended the inaugural address of the President of the United States of Washington on the day of his inauguration, January 20th, whatever year, right? And he gets up there and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Hickory Dock, ran above, mice ran up the clock. Pluto, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Disneyland, Fantasyland, and that's what I propose for the United States of America." Guy's hysterical. It was lit. It was a joke, right? And of course, people are astonished. What is this man saying? Right? Balak is absolutely astonished. I hired you to do what? To come and curse him. I didn't know about your personal meetings with God 3 times. One dream, the next dream, and then the angel on the road. I didn't know about that stuff. I hired you. You showed up. Do the job. What do you want? Money, silver, gold, whatever it is. I'll give you covered, honor. And all of a sudden he stands up, and as they looked upon the camp of the Jewish people, they're all camped down there, maybe in the valley, and they were up on the mountain, and he raises his hands and he says, "Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Israel." How good are your tents, Jacob? How beautiful are your dwelling places, Israel? And Balak goes, wait. What are you saying? What are you saying? I hired you to curse them, not to bless them. If you can't curse them, shut up. And he continues on with blessing after blessing after blessing. I would have thought by now it would be so upsetting for, let's say, for Balak that it would have stopped him. And should have, boom, punch him in the nose. I mean, shut this guy up. But there's no helping, there's no stopping, because Bilam is completely controlled by Hashem. He has no choice anymore, which means by having no choice, he really has no reality. He's not alive anymore. While he's dead, Balak's intentions are dead as well. And the Jewish people thrive purely, completely, totally by the total honor of Hashem. It's an amazing thing. So in fact, okay, with all this said, Balak and Moab turned to another alternative to try and harm the Jews. And the alternative is immorality. And they send out the women. And the Jews are tempted by the women. And the women will tempt the Moabite women. And it gives you an insight, by the way, to what Goyim will do to win a war. They will have no problem sending their women to the front, and this is in every war for that matter, to try and weaken, resolve the enemy, and will have no problem sacrificing their women's virtue or their personal purity, purely to win a war. And I mean, it's certainly a misuse and abuse of people. What's amazing about it, of course, is that people succumb, and Jews are human too, and Jews succumb. And of course, a great plague ensued. The final emergence out of this plague was, of course, the heroism of Pinchas. And we'll talk about that next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Everybody signed in?
Yes, right there, Rabbi.